many challenges of MMO development is how to best create a gigantic, complex world for hardcore players to really dig into, yet prevent it from becoming so hopelessly convoluted that nobody else wants to deal with it. In Guild Wars 2, developer ArenaNet gives you a colossal, beautiful world to explore, all built around the idea of convenience and cooperation, and all without a subscription fee. The game operates on a framework similar to other MMOs, but its advances in questing structures and de-emphasis on required leveling means it's just as likely you'll find interesting content within an hour as it is you'll find it in a Bender 14-hour session. Story is delivered in many different forms throughout Guild Wars 2, and while there's a huge amount of story, it's not all of the same quality. ArenaNet seems most comfortable using humor in Guild Wars 2's universe, making the ill-mannered Asura the most entertaining race to listen to, and by comparison making the burly, battle-hardened Norn come off as stale and generic. Whenever Guild Wars 2's main storyline tries to get serious, it just doesn't generate much excitement. That doesn't have as much to do with the ideas, there are world-threatening dragons and secret societies and huge battles, as much as the personalities. Structurally though, the main story missions allow for a lot of replayability, as choices frequently pop up regarding which faction to join and how to accomplish a mission. You're often left wondering what might have happened if you'd chosen a different path, and the feeling that your route through Guild Wars 2 is unique. Guild Wars 2's real storytelling achievement is in the event system. If you've played Rift or Warhammer Online, you should be familiar with the idea of public events. As you wander around, big things just happen, and merely by showing up, you can join in. You'll see a zone's chat field light up when a big event begins, and all of a sudden, everyone who is minding their own business is all collected around one single event, working together to topple some gigantic foe and celebrating when it's over. With unique events across every zone, usually in high density, ArenaNet is able to tell the story of the world much more effectively than in other MMOs, doing so out in a social, open environment. The events make the world of Tyria feel alive, like it exists and evolves on its own. It certainly doesn't hurt that Guild Wars 2 is one of the prettiest MMOs ever made, and a genuine triumph of original fantasy world design. If you have a powerful enough machine to crank up the settings, from the mind-boggling detail in the main cities to the consistently impressive zone design, the obsessively detailed armor sets and weapons, Guild Wars 2 is a non-stop spectacle. It's also still kinda buggy, which is to be expected in any new MMO, but the bugs, trading post issues, connectivity problems, story mission glitches, amongst others, can still be quite irritating when encountered. A big component of why it's so fun to level up in Guild Wars 2 is that experience is awarded for nearly everything. Did you build a new piece of armor, mine some iron, or complete a portion of your daily achievements? Those all equal experience gains, adding significance to what otherwise might seem ancillary and making it feel like time is rarely wasted. ArenaNet also doesn't punish you for things many other MMOs do. If someone else is attacking an enemy, you can attack it too and still gain loot and experience. If someone's already chopping at a tree, you can do the same and still harvest resources. The emphasis is on cooperation. As more and more of your class's skills unlock, you'll find some excellent design. Guild Wars 2 has no dedicated healing class. Instead of one healer, everyone can heal. Instead of one tank or a dedicated damage dealer, everyone can do a bit of everything. With so many different ways to build a class, there's a lot of room for experimentation, but with a limited slot skill bar, you still need to make important decisions about which skills to bring into every fight. It's a fast-paced combat system, one that rewards those who stay mobile and dodge. Often survival can be a matter of split-second timing and careful observation of enemy behavior. And because most skills in Guild Wars 2 feature very short-duration interrupts, stuns, buffs, and debuffs, you have to pay especially close attention to when they should be activated. This is only really true of player versus player content and dungeon encounters, though. The events, as spectacular as they are, aren't especially satisfying in terms of gameplay. You'll dodge enemy strikes and go about your routine attack rotation, but generally you're just enjoying the show. Events do scale up toward the end zones with greater density, longer chains, and a higher degree of difficulty. In the level 70 through 80 content, ArenaNet concentrates on what the game does well, creating a tension by making it feel like every zone is in a state of unstable conflict. Once you're into dungeons, though, precision gameplay and communication between party members becomes much more important, and that's true of PvP as well. The PvP arenas are fairly standard control point arenas, where the rules aren't particularly exciting, but where the merits of the skill system design become apparent. The World vs. World mode, which pits your server against 2 others in a battle for dominance across 4 gigantic maps separated from the main 1 through 80 zones, is really the star. Though initially World vs. World may seem like total chaos, organization can yield impressive results. It soon becomes apparent that massing a huge army and trying to brute force capture towers and keeps and castles isn't always going to work against a coordinated team that protects its supply lines, makes efficient use of siege equipment, and is able to locate and exploit poorly defended enemy-controlled structures. It's a non-stop seesaw fight for dominance that yet again reinforces a thrilling sense of cooperation between everyone on your side. Throughout all this, ArenaNet de-emphasizes the need to level because of its scaling system and the fact that structured PvP and World vs. World modes are accessible right from the start. ArenaNet actually level caps each zone, limiting your stats so that creatures that populate the area can still kill you if you're not paying attention. This way, you can actually play the content in earlier zones after hitting the cap, instead of simply knocking everything over with the godlike power of an over-leveled character. As a result, level capping a character doesn't feel as significant as it does in other MMOs, but there are still challenging explorable modes for Guild Wars 2's dungeons, legendary items to chase, the PvP modes, and the giant events of the high-level zones. There's quite a bit to do, and for a newly launched MMO, it seems like enough for now. ArenaNet has built one of the best MMOs in operation, one that successfully addresses many of the genre's long-standing frustrations. Though the overall story and character development disappoint in parts, there's much more that ArenaNet gets so precisely right. Though it's easy to get lost in the details of Guild Wars 2, it's just as easy to log in and almost instantly find cool content, and in the process feel connected to the vital rhythms of a beautiful and consistently surprising virtual world. For more on Guild Wars 2, head over to IGN.com.